mean, I can't imagine if I would have done this, inland where I live.
Who do you think the scariest one was? I mean, I think that middle-aged kind of hippie guy, he was the scariest because he really read it and he said, I agree, we need to shut them down. It
says in bold print, repeal the First Amendment. And then at the end of the video, I read the text, just a short little 3-sentence text that says that we need to stop people from criticizing Obama. They're holding him back from creating the New World Order, and those kinds of protections aren't needed in today's society. And he read through it. He put his finger, you can see him reading it line by line, and that's why there was a little bit of dead air there, and he actually read it. And then I made sure, I said, you read this, right? You're okay with that? And he said, I don't disagree with that. It's unbelievable.
Because it's Obama. He's a fake liberal caught up in that false paradigm. So, yeah, let's ban these right-wingers. But we heard the same thing from Michael Savage and Michael Reagan when Michael Reagan said, murder Mark Dice, I'll give you the gun, the ammo, I'll pay you to murder him. I mean, it wasn't a more clear solicitation of murder. And the FBI said that's okay. That's all right. He's allowed to say, kill Mark Dice. So we see the same thing from right-wingers that worship the Republican Party. They say ban anybody that disagrees with Bush's speech, and the Obama supporters say ban the right-winger's speech. And so basically you've got more than half the public that's ready to ban free speech in the United States. I mean, that shows you the type of brainwashing and all the MTV specials and the college and high school education where all they talk about is hate, 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 hate. And now we have Obama cybersecurity chief resigning, saying the Pentagon's taking it over. Obama comes out and says, I may have to shut down free speech on the web. Cass Sunstein, his regulations are that implements all this, says they're going to do it. Italy is in mainstream news announcing you've got to register to be able to write anything on the internet with the government, pre-approve it with them. Banning websites extrajudicially in Australia. They say we're taking the Chinese model. Bill Gates, head of Microsoft, says he likes what China's doing, doesn't have a problem with it, helped design the system for him. He's now running the NSA takeover system. They are really coming after our Second Amendment. Now, the hate crime law passed. That federalizes local police, creates special thought police commissars to track what people are saying. The MIAC Homeland Security reports say gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, returning veterans, that we're the real target of Homeland Security. Provocateurs are out at every Tea Party, sound cannons at G20. I mean, they are really coming after us.
And this is actually going on in other countries as well. I mean, in my new book, there's an example of a woman in Britain who wrote a letter to her city council expressing her displeasure that a gay pride parade was going to be going through her neighborhood, and 2 police officers showed up at her house and threatened to arrest her. There's a guy in Canada that put out an ad in the newspaper quoting some Bible verses, and he was actually fined. He had to pay 4 people who complained $1,500 each because they felt that it incited hatred.
And they're now calling in Europe and in the United States to make it illegal to deny man-made climate change. I mean, they're openly announcing it.
Well, and Google recently revealed a blogger's name. This woman had a blog about the New York social scene, and she called one particular supermodel a skank. Not exactly the worst word in the world. And this woman sued Google, and they revealed the woman blogger's name, and now she's being sued for millions of dollars for defamation for calling this woman a name that you hear on the playground every day at school.
But, I mean, I think, I don't know the actual street definition or urban definition of skank, but doesn't that just mean like somebody who dresses scantily like a slut?
I think so. I mean, it's not one of the 7 dirty words that's not allowed on television. It's certainly not a popular word, but it's not very defaming, I think. But
I don't even know about that case, but I mean, more and more we see this happening. I remember 6 years ago I interviewed Robin Page, BBC TV host of One Man and His Dog. He just goes to different small towns and eats their food and drinks their beer, and he walks around with a TV camera. And he was at a rural affairs meeting where they're shutting down hunting and other community events, and he said, look, we, the rural people, deserve the same rights as Muslims and homosexuals, and they arrested him saying the word homosexual was hateful.
Well, you were mentioning earlier about the Pentagon paying bloggers and doing fake news, and that's just, as many people know, an extension of the original Operation-Mockingbird program, which was exposed in the 70s in a congressional hearing, where back then they were paying $250 million to high-level reporters and editors in every major form of media. Adjusted for inflation, that's $1 billion a year they were paying. And as you know, many of your listeners may know, there's a Pentagon white paper that was floating around where not only were they talking about buying off the bloggers, but they were talking about actually hacking prominent blogs and then changing the blog so that, in a sense, they would just hack Infowars.com and then change the wording in some of the stories.
We already have that happening. People take our stories and then change the article, and they take my show and edit it together. And, I mean, there's definite... They tried to have COINTELPRO firebomb Brave New Books, reportedly, connected to the Palestinian that was murdered, and to setting up the people at the RNC in Minnesota, the same group here in Austin.
Legislate, you know, the things that people say that they disagree with, you know, against the government, and the Bilderberg Group, and just a signature and a birth date. It'll be fine. No phone number. Sounds like a good thing. You know, I mean, in today's New World Order, we don't need these idiots, you know, disagreeing with the president. Oh, you got to sign it too.
I don't disagree.
So you read this? You're okay with that?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Repeal the First Amendment. Stop hate speech and negative speech. Just a signature would be good.
What is it for? What's hate speech?
Well, it's hate speech when you say hateful and mean things. We're CAFTA, CAFTA.org. It's just to support the repeal of the First Amendment. Beautiful day. Hi.
Hi.
Signature. You know, I mean, in today's society, we don't need... I mean, who are the people to say that they don't agree with the president anymore, you know? And he knows what's best. So
all right.
Figured best thing. 200-year-old.
We'll play some more before Mark leaves us. But looking at these two young women with this toddler, they have no idea the type of bondage that they're bringing their family into, and they just hear, we're going to be nice, we're going to ban mean people saying mean things, we're going to get rid of the First Amendment, and they're there signing it, and they mean well. I'm sure that they're really nice people. They just have no conception of what it is to live in a free country, Mark.
And again, even if some of these people knew what was going on or knew what the First Amendment or sort of felt coerced into it, what does that say about society when they don't have enough of a backbone to stand up for what's right and will just allow themselves to be talked into something that's completely 180 degrees from their own beliefs because they're intimidated? And it's not like I'm meeting them in some dark alley somewhere, so they're going to just sign it and say, oh, yes, I agree, so that they can get away from me. This is on a public street on a beach outside of a shopping mall. These people have no backbone, no brains. And you know what I'm hoping with this is that people that will see this video that is going viral that perhaps don't know much about the First Amendment or freedom of speech or anything will then find the rabbit hole. And that's what I try to do with my work is I touch on a wide variety of issues that people can grasp onto, and then that will lead them down the rabbit hole so that they can find out what it is that's going on. They can find the bigger issues. I criticize these pop culture icons. I've been somewhat successful getting into these celebrity gossip columns, making criticisms about certain things that celebrities are doing. I believe the criticisms. I think what they're doing is horrible, and the statements I make are valid, but the larger picture, you know this, much of the audience knows this, is to then point people down the road so that they can find out about the New World Order and that they can become involved and realize I'm trying to steer them away from the celebrity gossip columns, from the celebrity worship.
Well, it's simple. If we don't educate the public that they were never taught about freedom and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, the Second Amendment, the First, the 10th, we're going to lose it. And so it is a life and death scenario, not just for this republic, but for our way of life, for freedom, for private property, for our entire future, to go out and to show people just how ignorant they really are. And to understand that they better start learning as much about the Bill of Rights and Constitution as they do about the Colts and the Saints coming up in 8-9 days at the Super Bowl. They had better have a crash course in freedom fast, because all of the job losses. I mean, Austin's one of the wealthiest cities in the country, one of the least hit by the depression we're going into, all over. We went to the baby store the other day, and almost all the shops around it in a middle-class area of Austin were shut down. Across the street from my house is a strip shopping center, middle-class area. They're all shutting down. I mean, the majority. It's scaring me. I won't be able to go to the pharmacy across the street. I won't be able to go get a pizza. I won't be able to go to the cleaners. I won't be able to go eat Chinese food. I mean, it's just all shutting down. America is dying, and the media is telling us, oh, everything's fine. The economy's on the upswing. I mean, it's just hoax after hoax after hoax, Mark.